before coming to Emory, I was already engaged in community work. I like to use the phrase scholar activist now because I came to Emory as an activist involved in arts communities and organizing communities. And so it was really important for me when I moved to Atlanta to be a part of that kind of community. And it was also important for me to engage in research that was helpful to communities and not just sort of for research's sake and publishing articles for other academics and a part of that machine. For example, if you haven't taken time to reflect and think about why you are pursuing the work that you're pursuing, or why did you go back to school for your Ph.D., I could certainly teach without it, with a master's degree, or I could teach high school without it, without the Ph.D. And so for me it was intentional. It was always sort of part of who I saw myself as. I see writing articles, I see going to conferences as activism. Some people laugh at that, but I see that as much a form of activism as being on the front line of a protest, or signing pledges or petitions, because I've been offered an opportunity to be in a particular space where many people who look like me are not often in those spaces. So I see this chance to be a gatekeeper in a way, and I'm using that term sort of positively to mean that now that I'm entering a space, I might then be able to make decisions about who follows. I can also eventually, down the line, not now, but eventually hopefully make decisions about who receives scholarships and who do we identify to be leaders in our areas of interest, or in our disciplines, whose voices are privileged, and which students do we mentor and help through this process. And so that's my roundabout way of saying, yes, I think it's an intentional act. I think it's a responsibility. I think that if you're not already thinking about that, thinking about how your research matters, that so what question, people keep asking me the significance and the so what and why does this matter, and beyond sort of creating new knowledge or filling gaps in literature, I really want to help organizations move forward. And we were just earlier having this conversation about education and the public education crisis, and part of my responsibility is documenting and shedding light on all the answers that do exist. And so my area of interest is outside of schools. I happen to believe that communities have been doing things that are amazing and helpful to young people, and they've been doing that with or without recognition or sanctions or awards, but sort of doing it because that's what we're supposed to do. And for the African American community, that's part of our legacy, right? We fill in these gaps, and if something's not available, we sort of make that available. And so, especially when we think about literacy, there's a time when that was outlawed, literally illegal to learn, and yet we still did. And so we had our midnight schools, and we had all sorts of subversive ways to make sure that happened. And then later we have literary societies and opportunities and spaces for us to learn inside or outside. And if it wasn't available inside, we certainly made sure it was available outside. And so this notion that literacy practices exist beyond schools, and that as a researcher I have a responsibility to expand what we say counts as knowledge, and expand our ideas about what literacy looks like and is, so that when we're talking about tests or we're talking about measuring ability, then we're thinking more broadly about what is literacy, what does it look like, what does it mean to be smart, and what does it mean to be a thoughtful human being and a critical thinker. I'm hoping that the work that I do, along with the work that others do who I look up to, is expanding what we know about what young people do and are capable of, and how we can elevate that in classrooms so that students are able to achieve their greatest potential.